Janhvi Ishaan, welcome to Film Companion. You've done this drill before, but first time for you. So, I was just thinking that the two of you are really star newcomers because we've seen you in one film, we've seen you in very little promos, a couple of songs.
You've seen me outside the gym a lot.
I've seen you outside the gym a lot, exactly. But, the audience is so invested in you already. I mean, you have like 2 million people on Instagram. Is this a weird space to be in? How do you respond to it?
I mean, because I've said this 1,000 times by now, but I understand that all of this, these 2 million followers and all of that is mostly because of who my parents are and of the kind of work that they've done. And now because of the hype around Dhadak, I don't think it's got anything to do with me because I haven't earned any of this attention. I haven't done anything to deserve it. Yet, hopefully I will in the future. But yeah, so I mean, I'm aware of that. So it's flattering. I have a lot of gratitude for it. It's a lovely place to be in. But I don't think that I can take it too seriously. I'm not at that stage.
You're able to sort of keep that distance?
I try to. I don't know if I'm able to, but I think that's the aim of the game for me.
And for you?
Sorry, what was the question?
How does it feel to sort of already be this hyped? Even before you really kind of, been out there?
It feels wonderful. I can
Is
most
it pressure
definitely feel... no, I think pressure is, and again I've said this multiple times before, but it's a matter of perspective. If you look at it in a certain way, you could feel responsibility towards the audiences who have such anticipation of your work or, hopes. But I don't think it's pressure for me. It feels good. It definitely feels like a sense of responsibility that you have so many eyeballs on you, and it only urges you more to go ahead and do something about that and do something with that attention and live up to it. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's pressure.
Sairat was a very tough film.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it, I think it was in Gaiety Galaxy, and I had seen it much later, like 4 weeks into release, and I knew what the end was. And still when it happened,
you knew going in?
I knew going in that it was going to end badly. But even then, when it happened, it felt like someone had hit you, like physically punched you.
Like gutted you.
Like gutted you.
Yeah.
Is Dhadak that hard? Is it that tough?
Why don't you find out on the 20th of July? But that's horrible. Who would tell you the end of it?
Yeah, everyone,
I would kill that person.
But everybody knew. But
Did you ask to be told?
No, but a month in, people had talked about it. It had become such a big thing.
Yes.
But I wonder, is your interpretation or Shashank's interpretation as hard as that?
Well, I really don't think it would be right on our part to reveal that. I would definitely say that the tonality of the film is very contrasting in the first act of the film, and as compared to the second half, it's a deep film. It's not a frivolous love story.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yes, you can definitely expect for it to have that kind of substance in it, but I wouldn't want to tell you what he's changed or whether it's as hard hitting or not.
So what was the hardest thing for you to portray? What was the emotion that was the toughest?
I think, do you want to speak? Okay, I'll start. I think for me it was, I think Parthavi she's very different to me in a sense that she's a lot more assertive than I am in real life. Different from the way that Archie is in Sairat, but she has a way about herself that isn't similar to how I process information. I think I'm a lot more shy and docile, and but yeah, I think the command and the strength that she has, I think the way that Shashank has written her, she's a very strong-willed girl, and she's very mature and clear in her head. I think that understanding that perspective for me, or like even just that command, I think, was something that,
that was tough.
Yeah, that was work for me.
And for you?
For me, it wasn't a particular emotion, but I think just the general disposition of the character. He's unambitious and naive, and he's very content with his life. and then he falls head over heels in love, and that dictates the course of his life from there on. And I think he's the kind of guy that his reactions to situations, like he's comparatively more docile than I am as a person. In fact, we often spoke of this. Madhu's more like Janhvi in real life,
and Parthavi is more
like I am.
I think she's a lot.
So I think we were able to, draw some cues from each other.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think portraying his journey from being this naive kid who lives in almost like a fantasy world of his own, to snapping into reality and then growing up from there, and that the struggle to find his feet in this world, I think that was the challenging part, and that was the interesting part too.
Ishaan, when you had done Beyond the Clouds, I saw this interview that you did where you talked about Majid Majidi telling you that of course you want to be a great artist, and of course you want to be a great actor, but the more important thing is to be a great human being, and the other things will come from there.
Yeah.
Do you both believe that good actors are necessarily good human beings?
I believe that I need to. Yeah, I do. I really do, because I feel like there needs to be honesty in you for you to convince audiences of what you're feeling on screen. Even mom would always say this to me. She'd always say that first you need to be a good and honest human being in order to be a good actor. If you have, I don't know, frustration or malice or anything negative in your heart, I feel like she would always say it would make your performance feel fake.
Yeah. I mean, if we're really thinking about this critically, I think there are a lot of actors out there that people think behave badly.
I was just going to say, I mean, we know of enough people who we know are far from good.
But I think
it comes from a place of sensitivity, though. I don't know. You can't generalize.
See, the thing is, I think actors can also be largely misunderstood. Yeah. People are almost already on the back foot when they're engaging with an actor or a popular actor or movie star. In advance, before even knowing them, they're almost ready to judge in every action, and things are taken out of context and blown out of proportion. But having said that, there are actors who are considered very good who have behaved very badly and done things that are just considered just morally wrong. And I think you can be a very skilled actor, you can be an effective actor, but somewhere I think to make the audiences feel feel empathy, to make them feel something positive, there has to be something nice inside you. There has to be a vulnerability, there has to be a sensitivity.
Basic goodness.
Goodness,
So what have you two learned from the people around you on what not to do?
On what not to do?
Yeah.
I've recently learned that I should not speak as much as possible.
Why? Which person has told you this?
No person has told me this.
She said from the people.
But why do you think you shouldn't speak?
No, just from these articles around me, I'm feeling like maybe I should just.
You mean you're reading yourself and saying it's time to shut up?
I don't know. Like sometimes I read the kind of stuff that's being printed, and it's like it makes me cringe a little.
No, but stuff you've said, or people are just writing about you?
I mean, stuff that I've said sometimes that's paraphrased, of course. But I think that, I don't know how to, if I'm talking to a person and really opening up, then I'm going to talk to them like I talk to him, and then I'll have a conversation. I don't know how to differentiate from like, this is going to be like a statement. Like yesterday, we were asked a question, I think at the press conference, about if you had the opportunity to do like a biopic of an actor, whose biopic would you do? And then I thought, and then I was like, if he was asking me this question, I'd obviously say that, this and this actor have led really interesting lives. It'd be so much fun to attempt something like that. So I said Madhu Balaji and Wahida ji, and Meena Kumari ji. And then my dad sent me this message, and he was like, why have you said that you can play Madhu Bala and Meena Kumari?
That's how it came across.
Because they just erased the question, and they just and so now it sounds like I think I can be these like magnanimous, iconic people when I'm not even like the dirt on their foot maybe. But yeah.
Welcome to showbiz.
But it's so daunting. It's like I don't know what to say ever.
So you just want to be quiet?
I just want to be quiet.
Fat chance.
And so you're explaining it in so many ways.
See, this is what I mean. Like, I forget.
It's a vicious cycle.
I'm not going to say anything.
I'm quiet from now on. This is it. Last words from Janhvi. What about you? What have you learned to not do?
Not do?
Yeah.
Shit, my answer was way off the question.
Yeah. I think I think most recently I'll connect this with Dhadak and Shashank, because that's what comes to mind. Is not to bring any past experiences into any new work that you're doing. I mean, of course, to bring that with you and to draw from it, but not to allow that to influence in any way. Or because, like, I remember there were days on set where I would I'd do a scene with him. There was one particular instance where he thought I was playing it a certain way, and he wanted me to. So this character's references for being like flamboyant and stuff would be 90s films. He's probably watched a lot of films of Salman Bhai and So he wanted me to kind of play act in this scene, and I think I was a little. The terrace.
Oh!
And I think I was a little like hesitant or something in the beginning, or I was doing it a certain way. And he came to me and he said, "Listen, everything is to be seen in context. This scene is not. It can't be played at this tonality because you're not being real as Madhukar. You're like pretending to be cool." So I remember like I did that once, and then he just said, he cut the thing. He said, "Ishaan," and I turned around. He usually calls me Madhu. He said, "Ishaan," and I was like, "Yeah." And he said, "Ham."
That was obviously
And then we got the take. The next one, we just got it. Yeah. So I think just to shed my inhibitions a little bit.
But that was like his advice to us constantly, though.
Yeah.
Guys,
What's to ham?
Ham. We're making him sound like a
Don't say constantly. People are not going to know what to expect. They'll be like, "Kya ham kar rahe hain? Kuch kar hi nahi rahe."
But I think that was it. He would just always explain to us that context can make, things that might seem unreal. Like, he would always tell us that we ham in real life all the time. But it's in context, so it doesn't seem out of place.
So, Ishaan, what was it like for you when Beyond the Clouds underperformed? I mean, it was a niche film, right? And I think you did really well. I mean, it was such a fine debut. How do you process that at such a young age and then just move on?
I think I'm also very fortunate that I had Dhadak at the time. I had just finished shooting for it. But I don't very much understand the financial, commercial aspect of
Do you
these
pay
things,
attention
so I didn't want to break it down. I do, of course. I try to learn about it and form a better understanding of things. But I think for me, what I derived from it, besides, I think after the first 2-3 days where I was a little taken aback, and because I expected for more people to watch it, and what I did understand, and I think my mom really helped me form an opinion about it, was that every film has its own destiny, and this might sound idealistic, but this was meant to happen for you, because this is a film that, I mean, it's an unparalleled experience to be able to work with the likes of Majidi sir, and she let me see the positive side of it. It's yet to come out on digital. There are some territories and countries where it hasn't released yet, and and that it's not the end of its life or anything of the sort.
Do you both think you're both tough enough for what this profession entails?
I don't think that I am.
You're not?
Yeah, but I think she loves it enough to become tough.
Yeah. I love it enough to like be bogged down on it, buy it, but then like come back and try.
What hurts?
Rise like a phoenix.
Indeed. What hurts?
I mean, I don't.
That.
No, that actually did not.
She's challenging me.
Yeah, don't go there.
Just stuff when I guess I don't know, my work isn't completely out there yet, but there's a sense of I'm feeling nervous right now because we've dedicated the last year and a half of our lives to Madhu and Parthavi and Dhadak and their lives, and there's an attachment to both of them and their stories, and just putting them out there in the world, I feel protective of them, and I don't know, I like hate it if it's just so personal to me.
It's like a kid, no?
It is. It's very special. So I think that makes me nervous, and also.
You hate it? You hate sharing it with people?
No, I don't hate sharing it with people. I said I'd hate if
they didn't like.
I didn't even want to complete that sentence. But yeah, I mean, I love this so much. Like, I love acting and I love films and being in front of the camera more than like it consumes me. But so I want to be good at it. I'm supposed to be good at it if I love it so much. And I think I have a tendency to question myself really easily. So when I read things, sometimes it'll like make me question my existence and all of that. But yeah, that's about it.
But you read everything?
I try not to, but there are things I think I've gotten better at not reading stuff. But I do read stuff. I think it comes from a place of I want to be aware, but then it's just all so blurry. You don't know what to read and what not to.
Yeah. See, that's the hard thing. A lot of actors talk about how there's no sort of defining line anymore between public and private. How do you guys handle it?
There really isn't. In fact, I found myself saying this a lot recently as well, because I saw a video of two very popular actors inside their house recently, which I thought was
off limits.
It was off limits, right? It should be. And I don't know. I mean, I guess there's nobody's like saying anything about it, or I don't understand why it's okay to do that.
But remember, we spoke about it. I think that in India, the kind of love that stars or actors get is unparalleled. Like, I don't see actors getting this kind of admiration and fandom and
anywhere else.
Yeah, so with that, I think that they kind of start taking you as public property. Like, you're theirs first, and then you're your own. So I think that's where it comes from. But I don't know. You just have to decide for yourself if that's worth it or not.
And clearly, it is for both of you.
Definitely.
Listen, since you are Karan Johar proteges, we have to end with rapid fire, right?
Yeah.
How else? So, let's be quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
Best piece of practical advice
who'll
on
go first?
acting. Whoever.
Okay.
Yeah. Practical advice on acting, no philosophy. Like something you should do when you're on a set.
Oh, like technical advice.
Like technical, kuch bhi, but something that you can actually use.
Everything's actually non-technical. Like, the best advice I think has always been non-technical.
Like what?
Like, just feel it. Don't think it, just feel it. You have like your radius of reality. Everything outside that radius doesn't matter when you're doing the scene.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can think of so many things, but there's one there's one concept that I've read which I find very useful, is the reality of doing. Is to just, if you're meant to be doing an action, to actually get involved in doing it and to do the things necessary to like
don't
actually
pretend.
do that. Don't pretend to do
Pantomime
that.
Actually do it.
Don't
Yeah,
pantomime it or anything. Just do it, and then that makes it that much
easier to attain.
Sure. Current obsession? Dhadak.
Yeah.
So sweet. Favorite place to visit in the world?
Florence and Udaipur.
Kashmir and Udaipur.
What's the most played song on your iPod?
Oh, it's actually A Sunday Kind of Love by Etta James.
My iPhone is just a mix of things. It's confused. It doesn't know what it wants me to play. When I go to recently played, it's like every day it changes. So I can't say this.
So you don't stick with one for
I
too
don't.
long?
No.
What's a book you recommend?
I recommend a poem actually, Howl by Allen Ginsberg. I think everyone from this generation needs to read and understand that poem.
What do you have against my generation? We can also read.
You can too, but actually it is relevant. It was actually made in, like, it was a few generations ago, but
Sounds like
Well,
me.
yeah, what is it?
No, that's not what I was trying to say.
Actually, a few generations ago.
It's just, I think it's very applicable to the kind of world.
To the environment we live
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, for me it's a book called Hunger by Newt Hampson. Or a book called...
Even The Secret, actually, I think people should. Even
I've
though I
not
read
read
it
that
like
yet.
when I was 11.
There's this one book of 30 great short stories by Nobel Prize winners, which is very interesting.
Nice. Okay, and last, what's your favorite app?
Instagram?
Instagram. Or like WhatsApp. But Instagram.
Instagram.
That's the one.
If
no?
not Instagram, it would be Visco Cam.
But what's the point of editing pictures if you
Or
can't post it on
SoundCloud.
Instagram? Okay.
No, for me there's a point. I like to edit. I can just keep them in.
Okay, you
but
keep doing
Instagram.
that.
You'll be happy.
Yeah.
Thank you and good luck for that.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Hi, this is Janhvi,
Hi, this is Ishaan and you're watching us on...
Film Companion.
Please do go watch Dhadak.